Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily with Ray Flowers, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to use the promo code FSD20 for a 20% discount on the products over at fantasyguru.com. Hello, one and all. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Thanks for choosing us today to inform you a little bit about the world of baseball, what's going on. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing Fantasy Sports Daily. We're also on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Jeff Mann's Elite Sports Show is on at 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. So check that out, Monday through Friday. I'm on the Elite Sports Game Time Show, which is Monday through Thursday at 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. So you can see us there, hear us there as well. This show, as you're well aware at this point, I think you can watch it live. You can comment live, leave your comments and questions here in the chat. I'll answer them at the end of the show like we've been doing. On YouTube, it is live. You can watch us. You can see what we're talking about. You can look at my face if that's something important to you. You can also hear us and find us categorized over on YouTube at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. At fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page, and I'll take you to it. And then on your local podcast network, just type in Fantasy Sports Daily, and hopefully we'll pop up, because we should, because we're eligible there. Spotify, Pandora, Apple, iTunes, all that kind of good stuff. Before we get started today, just wondering, I had an experience yesterday, and, you've all been there too, right? Where things are going good. You're feeling good. You're for whatever reason, right? Their significant other said, yeah, she'd go on that date, or something nice was done for you, or something good happens at work, or, your puppy woke you up in the morning with big kisses. I don't know, something good. And you're feeling good, and then something happens, it's negative, right? Well, I had one of those experiences yesterday, and I'm still thinking about it today, so obviously it bothered me. And, it brings up the idea of how much do we or should we let other people impact our lives? And I think there's all the platitudes and lines of thought and everything where we could say, well, what other people think shouldn't matter, and what other people do should matter. You should find your own inner happiness. And I totally agree with that. Also, it's tough at times, right? Right? It is. And so I'm just in one of those zones right now. I was in the completely different zone yesterday. I'm in a different zone today. Hopefully it will fade as this show goes on. How about that? We'll use this show as a jumping off point to improve things in my life, and hopefully yours as well. Let's talk about what that show is going to be today. As you can see there in red, Chris Rose is going to stop by and talk MLB DFS with us. Chris was on with us Wednesday here talking about the slate. He then came on the Elite Sports Game Time show last night on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We visited there, and he's back today. He's a monster. He took a couple days off on vacation. He's coming back. He's everywhere. So Chris Rose will come in. We'll talk specifically about the line today, the slate today. He'll talk about the GPP angle of things. As soon as this show is over, I'll put together my cash game breakdown. We'll have both of those available over at fantasyguru.com. And by the way, if you want to get access to both of those, you know how to do it. Get the VIP Platinum package. You see it there on the screen right there. VIP Platinum membership package. 50% off everything we do. Everything. Use the promo code 50special. All the sports, all the articles, all media of any kind, podcasts, live streams, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, NASCAR, golf, racing, all of it. 50% off with that promo code 50special. So check that out. And if you want to just get the baseball package itself, you can see that there on the screen too. Get the MLB DFS package that we're talking about, or the wagering package, and we'll throw all the other sports besides football in for free for right now. Works pretty well, right? Can't turn that down. Free stuff. Back to what the show is today. We're going to talk about Christian Scott. This guy's going to be called up for the Mets. Who is Christian Scott? Paul Skenes update. Kyle Harrison, Mitchell Parker, a lot of young pitchers. Kyle Bradish returned. How did he look for the Orioles? Carlos Rodon, Spencer Arrighetti, Edward Cabrera. We'll also talk about some injury updates. Gerrit Cole, Merrill Kelly, Max Scherzer, Gavin Williams, Cristian Javier, Nick Pivetta. What do they have in common? Well, of course, they're all pitchers. Of course, that's what we're going to do here. And you can also use that promo code FSD20 to try to get those discounts in the products over at fantasyguru.com. Okay, let's jump in. Christian Scott, according to ESPN's Kylie McDaniel, is going to be promoted. It was actually then confirmed by the coaching staff. He's going to start Saturday against the Rays. Who is Christian Scott? Well, if you look at the numbers on Christian Scott, it's like, whoa. It's, not quite Paul Skenes level stuff, but he's got a .71 whip across 25 innings. and 36 strikeouts and 6 walks. Ooh, it's Yahtzee time, right? Well, here's what I think about Christian Scott. He's going to be extremely expensive. Number one, he is a good high-level pitching prospect. Number two, he's pitching very well. Number three, he's on the Mets. This guy gets called up for the Rays. This guy gets called up for the Athletics. People pay attention, right? This guy gets called up for the Mets, and boom, we're talking. People are going to be spending a quarter of their budget, the FAB money, something like that. It might even be more than that, depending upon the needs people have, and we know people have needs on the pitching staff. Who is Christian Scott beyond the dominant numbers that we have seen? He's MLB pipelines. I think they had him 4th with the Mets, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. I'm forgetting. Top 10 for sure with the Mets in terms of their prospects. He is 6'4", 215 pounds. He's got a nice build. He's got very clean mechanics, very good extension. He actually throws from a little bit of a lower arm slot, not Joe Ryan, but kind of like Joe Ryan, right? He's 6'4", again, 6'4", 215, throwing for a lower arm slot. That helps you, get a different shape on your pitches up in the zone. Can also obviously be very effective. He's got a good fastball. It's got nice run to it, so there's movement with the pitch. His secondary offerings are very good. His number one trait beyond the stuff might actually be his control, which is excellent. Like I said, 6 walks in 5 starts, and that really is his calling card. There's a lot of other guys that have control like him. I think of an example like Kyle Hendricks, right? But Kyle Hendricks throws 86 miles an hour and doesn't miss bats. Christian Watson throws 95 miles an hour and misses bats. Like, the ability to have the stuff that Scott has combined with the control that he has is unique for a young pitcher. So all of that's a positive. So what do we do with Christian Scott in terms of betting? Well, if we can run to the waiver wire right now and add him, do it. Just do it, right? Figure it out later. If you have to do FAB, and we're getting to this weekend, now we start running into an issue that we need to discuss. He's not old, okay? He's not. But he's 25 next month, okay? At no point in his life ever has he thrown 90 innings in the season. He's 25 next month. That's concerning, okay? And again, I know that we talk about the innings pitched, and if everyone's throwing 120 innings, what's the difference? I understand. But I'm just pointing out to you that he's almost 25 years old, and through his life, he's never thrown 90 innings in a season. Last year, he got close. He was at, what was he at last year? 85 innings, something like that. So he was close, but he's never thrown 90 innings. He's already up to 25 innings. What has he got this year? He's in that Yuri Perez zone, even though he was older than Perez last year. I think a perfect scenario is 120 innings. Maybe it's less. It all depends upon how he feels, how he looks, how his pitches are going, all that kind of stuff. So keep that in the back of your mind. Don't empty your FAB budget on a guy that could be shut down in August, right? But I would aggressively try to add Christian Scott. He's very reasonable that he's up to stay for the Mets. He's primed for success. Let's hope that he can have that success early in his career and stay on the field. That's something that we're dealing with everybody. Like the skills a lot, and I love the control piece. That's not something we see from a lot of youngsters, but the concerns are there too, as I noted. Paul Skenes, we keep talking about him. Everyone's talking about him, the number one pitching prospect in the game. We talked about his last outing. It was another one of these dominant efforts. I got something in my eye. Sorry about that, folks. He had another one of those dominant efforts last time out. See, this is something you wouldn't know if we weren't on video. I would just be doing this while I'm talking. You'd have no idea that I had something in my eyeball. I know. The media, right? Paul Skenes, his stuff is dominant. He averaged 99.8 miles an hour on his fastball the last time he started. No one can hit him. I think his whip is like 0. I'm exaggerating. His ERA is 0.4. His whip is 0.9. He's got 41 strikeouts in 23 innings. All right, the strikeout rate 16 guys per 9 innings. He's not walking anybody. It's a cakewalk. He's not accomplishing anything. He's just dominating people that can't keep up. His next start is going to be Sunday in AAA. The Paul Skenes watch is on, and it's getting pretty aggressive on social media. People getting pretty pissed off. We've talked about this on the show. I'll repeat my opinion in case you missed the last time we talked about Paul Skenes. Paul Skenes he's not gaining anything in the minors right now. He's so utterly dominant right now. What is he learning? He should be up at the big league level. If they want to throw him 92 innings this year, because that's what they want, then throw him 92 innings at the big league level, right? If they're saying, well, his workload's not built up, fine. Bring him up, throw him 4 innings every time he starts. We talked about this. Their teams are more than willing to do opener games and long reliever games, piggyback tandem starters. Start him 4 innings, throw Martin Perez behind him. Let him each go 4 innings every game. One guy's right, one guy's left. One guy throws 100 miles an hour. The other guy throws 87. You think that'd be an easy switcheroo for the opponent? Hell no. So there's ways that they can do this. So don't buy. This is not 1991 where the guy's getting called up and expected to throw 7 innings and give you 200 innings. It's not where we're at in this world of sports. So those excuses don't work anymore. In the case of a batter, Jeff Mans and I talked about this on the Elite Sports Show, again, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. In the case of a batter, I think giving batters time in the minors is good. You learn pitch sequencing. You learn what pitchers are trying to do to you. You work on your swing. You work on your weaknesses, all of that. As a pitcher, if you throw 99 miles an hour, we can work on things at the big league level. You know what I mean? It's like, you throw 99. Let's get you up here, kid. We'll teach you how to, tweak the slider so you get another 2 inches of break or whatever. Or we'll tweak your changeup grip and we'll get another 2 inches of drop. Like, we'll do these things here. Paul Skenes should be up at the big leagues. His next start's in the minors. We'll see if the one after that is indeed up with the big leagues. I'm looking out my window right now. I fed the squirrels this morning. There is a squirrel sitting on the fence staring at me. I feel kind of bad right now that I'm doing the show. He's a little fella. Looks like a youngster. Sorry, fella, I can't feed you right now. Maybe later. Anyone else feed squirrels? Does that make me old? Probably does. Kyle Harrison, who's not old, 5 innings, gave up 1 run, 3 hits, and had 7 strikeouts against the Red Sox. And that was an impressive effort for him in a lot of respects. The end results say impressive. That was a Red Sox team that was really coming on. They've been hitting lefties well. Fenway's a great place to hit. Now, the negative with Harrison is that he walked 5 guys. So the fact that he was able to limit the damage to 1 run and only give up 3 hits with 7 strikeouts in 5 innings is pretty remarkable when you consider that he walked 5 guys. He only threw 57 of 95 pitches for strikes. So his first pitch strike rate, was really low. It's a good sign to see Harrison be able to work around the wonkiness. And that speaks to his continual development as a pitcher, and it also speaks to just his stuff. Kyle Harrison has got top of the rotation. Like, he's going to be a number 1 or a number 2 at the big league level when he's developed. Like, he's got the ability to lead a pitching staff. He needs to figure out the control piece, and he needs to show that he can, create depth. And that's something that'll happen as he ages, hopefully. But he has done this for a large portion of his professional career, where he goes out and you're like, oh, they pulled him at 3 2/3 innings. He had 7 strikeouts. What the hell happened? Oh, he also walked 4 guys. He threw 87 pitches in 3 2/3 innings, right? So kudos to him for working through it. It's a positive development for him to be able to work through it. Also, when you throw 5 innings and you have 12 strikeouts and walks combined, 95 pitches, that's not going to get you 190 innings this year, right? So more pluses than negatives there, especially considering the environment and the matchup. But I'll be very interested to see what happens with his next start. I believe his next start is scheduled to be in Colorado, though. Despite the fact that Colorado hasn't been what it's been in the past. Coors Field hasn't played the same way right now. And despite the fact that the Rockies offense is just not close to what it has been in the past, I really hesitate to use him there for the obvious reason of it's Colorado 1. 2, when you have control issues, you don't want to have control issues going into Colorado. 3, the break on your pitches in particular is much different there. And if you can't control your pitch and it's no longer breaking 13 inches, now it's breaking 9 inches, and now it's happy-go-lucky time. It's not on the black. It's right over the center of the plate. So I would be very reluctant to use him in his next start, though the matchup against the Rockies will probably dictate it being a passable start at the very least. Mitchell Parker of the Nationals will have 3 runs over 5 1/3 innings against the Rangers. All things considered, given the small slate and everything, was one of the better pitching performances of the day. He's now thrown, he's allowed 3 or fewer runs in 4 consecutive starts, which is really good news. 4 starts, he's thrown 21 innings. Is that deep? No. Is he going to give more depth than that? Probably not. Is it problematic for a win-loss? Yeah, it is. But again, that's the era we're in. Mitchell Parker's pitched better than I anticipated. We talked about him on the show. He's pitched better than anticipated. He's only walked 4 guys in 4 starts, and that's, if you do that, like we talk about all the time, he's got almost a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Whether your stuff is dominant or not, that just plays, right? So he's in a really good spot. Now, the problem for his next outing is he faces the Orioles. Despite having that success against the Rangers yesterday, the Rangers are kind of muddled right now. What is Corey Seager 3 for 40 or something. Like their offense is not what it can and will be right now. Orioles offense is. So that test next week, Mitchell Parker against the Orioles, is going to be a kind of defining moment, which isn't fair for a young pitcher, but it kind of is for a defining moment for 2024. The good news for those of you that did pick Parker up is that he's pitched so well that now it looks like he's part of the rotation, right? Like demoting him at this point is like, what the hell are you doing, Nationals? Kate Cavalli's coming. We talked about him earlier this week too. So Nationals, they got Mackenzie Gore, who's pitching very well. We've talked a lot about the hitters. We talked a lot about Wood and Cruz and what's going on the offensive side of things with the Nationals. But, maybe Mitchell Parker is going to be part of a trend of hurlers that we should be talking a little bit more about with the Washington Nationals. Kyle Bradish came back yesterday, and this is great news. We had the forearm issue. We debated all preseason. What did that mean? How much time was he going to miss? When was he going to return back to the field? All these kind of things. Never got a real good answer. We heard early in the first half or sometime in the first half. I forget the phrasing. Well, it was boom right at the start of May, which was, I think, better than anyone anticipated at the end of draft season. He went out yesterday through 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits against the Yankees, only 1 run. And, it was pretty solid effort. He struck out 5 guys, only walked 2, threw 84 pitches in the effort. Didn't get to 5 innings, which is disappointing. But, all things considered, it was a very good effort. And so now he gets to face the Nationals next time out, which is, pleasant for him. The Nationals are, as I termed them earlier on SiriusXM this week, a ham and egger offense right now. So it's a good matchup with Kyle Bradish. So while I was reluctant and did tell people not to start Kyle Bradish against the Yankees yesterday, let's say yes, we're starting Kyle Bradish next week against the Nationals. Carlos Rodon on the other side of things. Carlos Rodon, 7 runs, 6 of them earned in 4 innings, got the loss, give up 3 home runs, 8 hits, no strikeouts. Carlos Rodon is just a mess. And, I hate, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pile on Carlos Rodon. He's getting paid too much money and he stinks. Okay. Overall, he does have a 1.3 whip and a 3.7 ERA. If he were to do that and make 27 starts this year, that's a win. Okay? It's a win. Would it be sexy, exciting? Would you feel great that you drafted him? No, but it would be a win. I wouldn't have drafted Carlos Rodon just because of the volatility from start to start, because of the extensive injuries throughout his career. We've had this discussion before. I think that if we look at where he's at right now, the numbers are very similar to last season. The ERA is different, but the strikeout rate, the walk rate, these things are very similar. Batting average of balls in play is similar. He's really been benefiting right now by a left on base percentage of 82%. I wrote about that left on base percentage in the preseason. There's usually 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys in baseball that have an 80+% left on base percentage rate. It really doesn't happen. His career mark is 74%. The league average is about 70-ish%. So when that number regresses, and it's going to, it just will, the ERA becomes an issue. And you see it right now. His ERA is 3.7. Scherer is 4.1. His xFIP is 4.5. So if we're getting more into the 4.25 ERA with the 1.3 whip, he becomes just a guy. And I think we're trending toward that zone with him that, as long as he's healthy, you'll get the strikeouts and it'll be effective-ish. But he's really kind of just a guy. And it's disappointing for a guy that was been dominant in the recent past and obviously, again, got that huge contract from the Yankees. Edward Cabrera, someone we talked about a lot here on the show, someone we've talked a lot about in Discord over at fantasyguru.com. Went out yesterday, had 9 strikeouts against the Rockies. It was a great matchup on paper. He had 9 strikeouts. Terrific. Now the negative. He walked 4 guys, which stinks. He only made it through 4 innings because the pitch count got up, and he gave 4 runs up. We had the dominant first effort against the Giants, the 10 strikeouts. We then had 7 strikeouts in 3 innings and 5 innings. 7 strikeouts, 3 runs allowed in 5 innings of work. Okay, that's, that was the come down from the start against the Giants. Fine. The last 2 times out, he's now given up 10 runs in 8 1/3 innings. And he's given up a home run in each effort. And, this is the Edward Cabrera experience. Now, I just want to say it because I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. If you added Cabrera, and I know you all wanted to add Cabrera because I got tons of questions about Cabrera. If you added Cabrera, don't drop him now. Here's what I say all the time. I'm repeating it again for added emphasis. If you add a guy and you're going to give him 15 innings before you drop him, don't add the guy. Unless you're in a head-to-head setup and you're doing If you're in a roto league and you give a guy 15 innings before you move on from him, you should have never added him in the first place. Just like you should never add a guy, give him 40 at-bats, and then chuck him. Head-to-head is different. Roto, I'm talking about here. Don't do it. Edward Cabrera has 30 strikeouts and 19 innings. That is dominance. Utter sheer dominance. It's also walking 4.7 guys per 9 innings, which sucks, which is the experience of Edward Cabrera. He needs to control the strike zone. He also has a 55% ground ball rate. Remember we talk about the triangle of pitching all the time. I know I'm small here, but you can see it, right? Strikeouts, walks, grounders. He's got a 55% ground ball rate, which is excellent. He's got a 14 K per 9 rate, which is excellent. He's got almost 5 walk per 9 inning, which is terrible. He's got 2 of the 3 pieces. He's always had 2 of the 3 pieces, or the ability to have 2 of the 3 pieces. He needs to control the strike zone, okay? Got to give him time. And Edward Cabrera is the prime guy you add, and you put him on the bench, and you wait until you see a good start. And next time you roll him out there. You wait, and then you hope the next matchup is good. You roll him out there. This is, unfortunately, exactly what we talked about with Edward Cabrera when we discussed him previously. Spencer Arrighetti actually pitched pretty well against the Guardians. At least he pitched effectively, I'll say. 2 runs over 5 2/3 innings. That's the deepest into a game he's worked since becoming an Astro. He threw 94 pitches, which is obviously his best as well. They need him, right? We'll talk about Cristian Javier, his teammate, in a second, but they need him. And the good news is that he's starting to look like a guy that could be someone taking the ball every 5 or 6 games, depending upon what they do. They really need him because Hunter Brown's flaming. He's on fire. The rest of the rotation's dealing with all these injuries, so they need him to help stabilize things. They don't need him to be a star. They need him to do what he did yesterday. Just keep an opponent there, allow your offense a chance to win the game, and we'll be happy with you, kid. And he did that yesterday. So more pluses than minuses right now with Spencer Arrighetti. It's barely, okay, but they're incremental. How about that? Incremental improvements that you like to see. I think I'll go that far with Spencer Arrighetti. Let's talk a little bit about some of the names here on this list, and there are some big names on this list dealing with injuries. Some of the news is really good. Some of it's okay. Some of it's John Heyman of the New York Post said that mid-June is the likely return target for Gerrit Cole coming back from his elbow issue, okay? He's going to throw a bullpen on Saturday. It'll be his first official bullpen this weekend. He's coming back from the nerve issue in his elbow. He's apparently hit and checked every box that the Yankees have put out there for him. So he'll go and throw that bullpen on Saturday, and then we'll start to ramp up the progression. Again, mid-June is the target date at this point. That is still a month and a half away. Still a long time. Obviously, when the injury happened to Cole, we didn't know. We were hopeful, fingers crossed, oh, God, don't let it be Tommy John surgery. It's not. So while it sucks to sit here and say, well, it's still going to be another month and a half, that still leaves you half the season plus, right? It's a long year. I know everyone's, the die is cast according to some people. It's been a month. I mean, we had a 6-month season. It's been a month. We got a long season here. So good news with Gerrit Cole. We'll keep an eye on the reports after Saturday. Let's hope when he really lets things go off the mound and everything that we don't have any kind of setback. Now the negative. Merrill Kelly has been moved to the 60-day injured list. He's got a right shoulder strain. We were hopeful this would be much shorter than this. The fact that they've put him on the 60-day injured list, well, they need a spot on the 40-man roster, okay. But also, it's going to be at least 2 months, and it could be longer. And, Kelly, as we discussed when the injury occurred, not a sexy guy by any means. He's an aging player and all that. But boy, has he been very effective the last couple of years. Very effective. And he was on his way to doing that yet again. Now the shoulder issue waylays him. If you have the IL spots, of course, if you have the spots, you stash them. If you don't have the spots, if you have no IL spots, you got to let Kelly go. You can't wait 2 months. If you have 2 or 3 spots on the injured list and you've got 5 injured guys, I can't tell you got to keep Kelly. I mean, I'd like to, but we seeing him move to the 60-day DL just tells us the minimum stay of 2 months. We don't know if it's longer. It could be longer than that. So be cautious with Merrill Kelly unless you have the ability to stash him because of the way your rosters are able to be constructed. Max Scherzer coming back from the back issue, who had the thumb issue that waylaid him. Stupid thumb. He's probably going to make a rehab start next week, so they're going to let this thumb issue calm down. They're going to make sure, hopefully, that it doesn't become a long-term issue with him. He played catch the other day and said his thumb feels fine. So it really does sound like the Rangers are being very cautious with this, and let's not make a mistake about this. The Rangers want to obviously be in line for a World Series championship. They've got Max Scherzer coming back. They've got Jacob deGrom coming back. All the Rangers need to do is make the playoffs. They don't need to win their division. They don't need to win 96 games. They just need to make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs and Scherzer and deGrom are healthy, right? Like that's what they're shooting for. So they'll give another 10 days to Max Scherzer. They don't care. Because they're not interested in games in May. They really don't. They'd love to have him back, sure. And he, I'm sure, is pushing to be back because that's the kind of person he is. They can give a damn about a game in May. They want to pitch in October. So the good news is that they're, instead of early May, now we're looking at mid-May for Scherzer. There were, as we discussed when the story started to change with Scherzer, the expectation initially was like around the All-Star break with him. So even if it's mid-May, we've blown past that expectation. That gives us 3, 4, 9 starts extra from what we were expecting. I mean, that's significant. So good news with Scherzer. After that minor setback, it sounded like with the thumb. Gavin Williams, who had the elbow issue that was on the shelf with, started to throw again. Elbow hurt again. They shut him down the second time. He resumed throwing yesterday. He's been obviously cleared to throw because he was able to throw. And the hope is now that we'll ramp up. Now, again, when he started to ramp up last time, this was just 10 days ago, whatever the hell it was, he had that setback and it hurt again. So, this is one of those things, like, I don't know. We just had the rankings updated, by the way, at fantasyguru.com. For those of you that missed it, the first of every month, the rankings get updated. So check that out over at the website. So if you have a question about which first baseman to add as an example, check the rankings. I just updated them. Guy like Gavin Williams, like, how do you rank Gavin Williams? Like, is he going to throw a pitch in the big leagues this year? Is he going to make 15 starts this year? Is he going to make 20 starts this year? Like, I don't know. I can tell you what the reports are, that despite the setback recently, he's back to throwing, and they're hopeful that they'll see him in June in the bigs. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. He obviously is someone that is one of the upper-end pitching prospects in all of baseball. Seemed to find his game in the second half last year. There was a lot of excitement on him coming into this year, and then the elbow issues. Let's just hope that they made the right choice here, because that is something to discuss too. If they made the wrong choice and he ends up needing surgery, they wasted half a year this year, right? So let's hope they made the right decision there. And we'll also hope that we'll see him back in a big league field at some point in June. Cristian Javier, who's been out with the neck issue, a lot of uncertainty here. The stories weren't very clear. The reports, weren't very clear with him about what was going to happen. Like, was he going to miss 6 weeks, 8 weeks? What? And it sounded like there was some concern. Now, really good news, given the underlying current here of there being some concern, is that he's going to start a minor league rehab assignment this weekend. So that's great news. Again, the Astros have tons of injuries. They need Javier badly. It's possible that he might only need one minor league rehab start because, again, this was a much shorter time frame to return to the hill than we were anticipating, at least outwardly. So maybe it's just one start, kind of like the Brian Bayo situation with the Red Sox. So that's really good news. We'll obviously watch very closely to see how he does on the weekend when he makes that start. Not so much about, does he give up 2 runs or does he pitch a shutout? It's how does he look? How does he feel? What's the velocity on his pitches? Was he able to come through the outing feeling good? What's his pitch count look like? Those kind of things a little bit more important than the actual results, I think, with Javier. Finally, before we visit with Chris Rose and talk a little DFS here on Fantasy Sports Daily, Nick Pivetta, who again was going to miss 15 days. It's going to be 30 days. The good news is he started last night. He struck out 5 guys, pitched 3 innings, threw 62 pitches. Now they're saying it's very likely that his next turn on the hill will be against the Braves this coming week. You can't start Nick Pivetta against the Braves, coming back from an injury, coming off a game where he only threw 62 pitches, coming off a game where he gave up 4 runs to the minors in the minors. Can't start Nick Pivetta. You could, but you're a masochist. I'm not doing that. So if he is indeed out there, the positive is he's out there, right? And that means not this first start. We'll give him a mulligan on it. Whatever happens, who cares? If he goes out and pitches well, so be it. The second start, we'd be more interested in getting him back active in our leagues. But good news, he came out of the start with the elbow feeling good, according to the reports. It's very likely he's in the big leagues next turn through the rotation, as I noted. And then we'll see. He was off to obviously a very good start, one of the better strikeout arms in the game going. He admitted, and we talked about it here on the show, that his training regimen this year was, I'm going 100% on every pitch, like it's my last pitch. Okay, he's going balls to the wall. He said it from spring training, from the day he showed up. He's trained all off season that way. He's pitched that way. The elbow gave him a little bit of tweak. That leads me to think that next week against the Braves, it's 100% yet again. Like, I don't think that he's going. He's got the pedal to the metal, as the kids say. We'll see if his body can hold up. But good news overall, despite the wonky results last night. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. I write the cash game breakdowns over at the site. In fact, I'll be doing that as soon as this show is over, getting folks ready for the slate today. We also have a really good crew of people that also contribute in the DFS space, including Chris Rose. Now, you heard Chris Rose on this show a couple of days ago. He was on with us Wednesday, which I guess would have been episode 132. He was on with me last night on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio on the Elite Sports Game Time Show from 8 to 10 Eastern. And guess what? He's back today. He cannot stop. Chris is trying to do an all-time record for most days in a row. The guest appearance, he's up to 3. It might be a record, Chris. How you doing?
How's it going, man? Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Is it, I mean, I don't know. You're obviously very good at this. You seem very comfortable in front of the camera and all that too. And you're going to say you like doing this, but is it cool to do this? I mean, is it 3 days in a row? Would you like to do it every day? Like, some people love it. Some people kind of just do it because it's part of their job. What do you think?
Listen, I just love sports to begin with, and just being on with all you guys and everyone that I've been with at Fantasy Guru is so sharp, so smart, and that includes yourself. And it's just so much fun to have the opportunity to come on this show as much as possible and really kind of give a little bit more of an in-depth analysis vocally rather than through my article. And a lot of the subs come back and they'll send me direct messages and things like that about cash in over the last couple of days and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So there is like a reward to being on as much as I am, and I really do enjoy it.
We'll get to the Marlins in a second because you're wearing the hat there. Just for people, who is Chris Rose? I know you've mentioned this before, but give a quick 45-second bio of Chris Rose. How did Chris Rose get here? Talk to him about your experience, obviously, in the sport of baseball.
Yeah, I really started DFS probably in 2017, 2016, and got really involved. 2018, I had my first MLB Live final with FanDuel. That was fun out in San Diego. And then 2 years ago in Chicago, did it again for the live final. But my background is a former college athlete, played college football up in Connecticut. I've been around, sports for a long, long time. I have 3 kids that 2 of my boys both play football right now. So really involved in sports and really involved with like giving back and, really in-depth analysis in baseball, football, basketball, whatever it may be. And really, like I said, I really enjoy it. Jeff reached out to me a couple of years ago, and at the time I really wasn't with Fantasy Guru. And then when the opportunity presented itself, I couldn't pass this up. And it's been just an absolute dream to be a part of this team and see it grow and see, a lot of my friends come in and be analysts as well. So I've really, really enjoyed my time and absolutely love it here.
That's Chris Rose again at FantasyGuru.com. And you're wearing a Marlins hat, Chris. And if we talk about the slate today, you see the Marlins and the Athletics, 2 teams with offenses that are very bleh.
Yeah.
2 pitchers that conceivably we could consider using in the fantasy space today. Ryan Weathers facing JP Sears. Talk to us about the pitching matchup here. Are you wearing the Marlins hat because you like Ryan Weathers, or are you wearing the Marlins hat because we're going to attack the Marlins?
So we're going to attack the Marlins today. I like JP Sears. I like the upside here for him. The Marlins have a 284 WOBA, 106 ISO against lefties. They got 5 guys with 20% strikeout rate or higher against lefties. So I like the upside for JP Sears. As long as he can control the walks, I think he has a lot of upside, and the price tag is nice there. On the opposite side, I know Weathers has pitched well recently, but I do love Oakland here. I think they're the sneaky team. Over his last 5 starts, a 5.73 FIP. I think it's just a great spot for guys like Ruiz, who has that stolen base upside, Brent Rooker, Nevin, Langoliers. I think all these guys are really, really sneaky here. And if you look at what they've done over the entire season so far, they're second in the league with 14 homers against lefties. So they have a 422 slugging over the last 7 days against the split. I think they're a really sneaky low 5 to 10% ownership team.
On FanDuel, for those people that aren't really familiar with it, there's a bonus for quality starts. Does that also like rule a guy like Ryan Weathers just out? Because it's like he doesn't throw 6 innings, and there's a bunch of pitchers in that zone where it's like, you look at the numbers, 4 2/3, 5 1/3. Yeah. Do you exclude guys if you don't feel they can go 6 innings? Like, how important is that quality start piece to your analysis on the pitching side?
So the way that I'll kind of, if the upside is there with a strikeout opportunity where he's a 25 to 28% K guy, I'll take the 5 inning guy, because you only get 4 points for the quality start as it is. As long as I know he's in a position to get the win. The win is a big thing at 6 points. So as long as I know that he's going to go at least 5 innings, I'll kind of, it's only 4 points. Give me another strikeout to kind of offset that. But if the upside just isn't there, if he's a 18 to 22% strikeout guy, I'll go for the guy that'll go at least 6 innings, throw the 90 to 100 pitches.
If we stay on the hill, let's talk about the Angels and Guardians game for a second, Chris. The Angels are obviously beat up. They're not the full complement of players. Some of the guys are really struggling on this squad. You've got Tanner Bybee, who's pitched very well this season overall. There's some weather, potential rain in the forecast here. How do you judge Tanner Bybee tonight? Because, again, the matchup looks pretty good, but then there's the weather, and maybe it's nothing. It's early in the morning. You know how this goes. What are your thoughts with Bybee?
Yeah, I think if the weather holds up, we'll probably be one of the highest on pitchers because you got guys that are just way too expensive that I'm not going over 10K today. I don't think you have to go there for any of the pitchers. So Bybee for me, with the Angels losing Mike Trout, they're a 25% strikeout team from top to bottom. Yeah. 304 WOBA, a 165 ISO. It's just not a great team from top to bottom. So if it does hold up, I do like the spot for Bybee. But again, we're going to have to check the weather. And of course, I'll be in Discord an hour before. So we'll have a better idea of the weather right before lock.
The White Sox and the Cardinals, what a barn burner that one is. The 6-25 Sox against the 14-17 Cardinals. The Cardinals have been a team we've been able to attack this year with pitching because their offense has just been bleh, Arenado's had base hits, but he hasn't driven the ball. Goldschmidt hasn't really got going. They've dealt with injuries. It's been messy. Brad Keller. Yeah, that Brad Keller, the guy famously had a 3.8 whip. I'm exaggerating here. But Brad Keller, what are we doing in this game here? Because it's I personally, I see Brad Keller's name and it just, I can't. Is he someone we attack, or is there enough positivity with the struggles with the Cardinals that maybe we're interested here?
This is a game that's it's a little bit weird because back last year we would have been stacking against Brad Keller with St. Louis and how good their lineup was last year. I just think they're missing something in the middle of that lineup. So for me, if Brad Keller, now mind you, he's coming off of 3 days rest. He pitched out of the pen a couple days ago. He was pulled up from AAA to be a starter. We don't know how long. But, I mean, it's a good spot. It's 6K on FanDuel. This is kind of like the Munoz play a couple days ago, right, where this, he's a
which, by the way,
guy,
worked.
It worked really well. It worked really well. And he's a guy that keeps the ball on the ground, not a lot of hard contact. And we know that St. Louis has had their struggles. They're striking out 23% of the time against righties. I don't know how long he's going to go. I think he's maybe 70 pitches, but they brought him up to start. I mean, 3 days rest. He didn't throw that many pitches. You could see him go 6 innings if he's pitching well. So at 6K, I would take a shot on Keller here. Good ballpark. Busch Stadium is the 3rd best pitchers park in the league. So I like the spot for Keller.
Again, we're talking GPP, not cash.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Well, a guy who profiles another pitcher, Chris, a guy who profiles as cash. He just profiles as Mr. Cash. Marcus Stroman, right? He goes you 5 or 6 innings, usually doesn't get blown up. He's got offensive support in theory. He's been wonky this year. The walks have gotten to him a little bit. He can't afford that. He doesn't erase him with the strikeouts. You look at him against the Tigers today. He's pitching at home. What are your thoughts with Marcus Stroman? Again, he's been okay, but he hasn't quite been Marcus Stroman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's the highest that I'll go. I mean, at 9,700 on FanDuel, I think that's kind of, like I said, I don't want to go over 10K. I don't see the upside for 10K guys. But, I mean, you got the wind blowing in, New York being a heavy favorite, Detroit striking out 25% of the time. They have been hot, though, so I do fear the lefties. He hasn't been able to locate his fastball. I think that's the biggest thing. He's kind of like that junk ball pitcher right now. He's throwing a lot of cutters. He's throwing a lot of sinkers. Can't locate his fastball. But Detroit has 7 to 9 guys, 7 guys in the lineup that are striking out 23% of the time. So the upside is there for Stroman, not on GPPs. You mentioned cash games. I do think he's more of that cash game type. I think he'll get you 40 fantasy points, that 30 to 40, because I think he'll also get the win.
Talking with Chris Rose. Let's talk about Chris Paddack for a second, and we'll lead it into the offense he's facing today. 3 outings ago, he was obliterated by the Orioles, give up 9 runs. 2 outings ago, he dominated the White Sox, as many people do, with 10 strikeouts over 7 shutout innings. Last time against the Angels, who we just spoke about, it was he threw 95 pitches to get through 5 innings, only struck 2 guys out. The bottom line with Chris Paddack is he's been all over the place. The Red Sox, on the other hand, have really started to hit of late. They're starting to gel. Duran's going, Devers is going, O'Neill's been going all season long. Wiley or Brady's really got going. Connor Wong, this team is really starting to hit. They're welcoming back Von Grissom today. Are we really bullish on the offensive side of things with the Red Sox today?
Big time. I think if you notice the trend over the last couple years, the Red Sox start hitting when it comes May. Once it starts getting warm, it doesn't matter where it's at. The Red Sox start hitting. They've been really good against righties too. Paddock struggles against lefties. He ranks 231st in the league, giving up almost 3 fantasy points per plate appearance against lefties. So you mentioned guys like Devers, Duran, Abreu are all 20% hitters against righties. The guy that grids out the best is Abreu, who's actually a top 5 hitter against righties. I love the Red Sox. We were on them 2 nights ago. We're on them again today. I think they're going to absolutely smash the Sheriff.
Gavin Stone of the Dodgers has kind of been making consistent starts because of the need, right, that they have right now. And honestly, after a couple rough outings to start, he's been pretty good. He's pitching at home tonight against the Braves. The Braves have had some struggles themselves. Acuna hasn't been himself. Matt Olson hasn't been himself. Austin Riley hasn't been himself. And then you've got the other guys banging away. Got Ozuna and Harris banging away. Darno. What are we doing with this game between the Dodgers and the Braves? Are we focused on an offense on either side here? Charlie Morton, by the way, pitching for the Braves.
Yeah, I like the Atlanta lefties here. If you look back to what he's done in Oklahoma last year, AAA Oklahoma, 4+ ERA, he really struggles against lefties, and a lot of this power comes from the left-hand side, aside of guys like Ozuna or maybe someone like Acuna. But he's given up a 341 average against lefties. He doesn't miss a ton of bats. That's his biggest problem. Only a 6.5 Ks per 9, and he does walk a lot. So if you get guys like Acuna on, you got guys like Matt Olson, who hasn't homered in, I think, like 18 straight games. You have guys like he is due for a home run. It's the lefties here, always coming off the IL. I mean, he ripped a double. He looked good over his, coming off the IL. But I would like to see Harris kind of drop into that top 5, especially getting that lefty bat up at the top. But I mean, it's the lefties that are going to hammer Stone here.
Let's go to Brad Keller's former team, the Royals. The Royals actually 19-13. I mean, they're playing good ball. They have a better record than the Rangers who they're playing tonight. Brady Singer has been really good. He's been really good this season. On the other side, Michael Lorenzen, started late and came in and everything. And he's been Michael Lorenzen, he's effective and all that. He doesn't miss bats. There's no strikeout upside with him at all, which leans into potential, a lot of balls in play for the Royals. Are you in on any of the Royals tonight against Michael Lorenzen in that bullpen of the Rangers?
Yeah, my one-off guy is Bobby Witt Jr., and it's more so the stolen base upside. If you look back over the last 150 innings that Lorenzen has pitched, he's given up almost an 85% success rate on steals. So I really like Witt, not only for the over in steals, but also his upside as a one-off on DFS. Now, guys like Miguel Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino, they've all had success against Lorenzen in the past. Sal Perez has homered off Lorenzen. They're another sneaky team because everyone will look at the Rangers and say, oh, God, they're completely stacked. They're absolutely cold for at the plate, too. Guys like Corey Seager has just been terrible at the plate. Yeah. And then you mentioned Brady Singer. His slider has been absolutely on point. He's getting a lot of whiff rate on the slider. I do like Singer a lot. I just don't like targeting the Rangers. But on the other side, I think Bobby Witt Jr. as a one-off in your DFS lineups, absolutely smash spot. I know he's priced up, but I like him.
I remember, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something like that, your core 4, if I remember correctly, had Esteury Ruiz in it. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. And you're like, he's going to steal 3 bases. It's going to go ham. And it's like, oh, okay. He only stole 2, I think. But you tend to focus on the steals. And I when I'm writing the cash game breakdown, like it's in there, right? But it's not really something I heavily focus on. You seem to focus on it a little bit more. Talk to the listeners about the steal itself. And what do you look at? You mentioned like a Lorenzen's given up an 85% success rate. What do you look at when you're talking the steals piece? For those people that missed it, I did a huge breakdown. I got all the charts and tables and everything last week about catchers and the running game and all that kind of stuff. So that information is available over there at fantasyguru.com. But what do you key on, Chris, when it comes to focusing on the stolen base?
I think more so you have to look at the on-base percentage. I think you have to look at guys that get on base a lot, guys like a Bobby Witt Jr., a Ronald Acuna, how many times they're going to run, their success rate. I think guys like that who get on base that they're going to run, whether it's against a lefty or righty, it doesn't matter. The guys are going to run. And of course, there's other guys like Esteury Ruiz. You mentioned him. He also homered that game too. So he was huge.
I was like, wow, Chris nailed that.
Yeah. So, it's guys like that are going to run that just don't care. It doesn't matter who's behind the plate. It doesn't matter who's pitching. They're just going to run. Acuna's kind of slowed down a little bit. I think he was like stealing second and third a couple times. He got caught at third base and didn't run for like the next 3 games. I think it hurt his own confidence. But guys like that, I absolutely love. And high on base percentage guys that are going to have the opportunity to run are guys that I'll target. And it's a free 6 points. You get on base, you get a walk, you get a hit. By the time he gets to second base, it's 9 points. So on FanDuel at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a way to kind of steal some points at lower ownership, if you will.
Chris Rose of fantasyguru.com. Chris, your article will be up today, of course. Are you going to be in Discord today answering questions from peoples?
Absolutely.
What time? An hour before lineup?
Yeah, I'm usually in. Yeah, if lock 7:05, I'm usually in about 6 o'clock. Just make sure you guys tag me in the question. Sometimes I don't see all the questions because it's kind of chaos, but I'll definitely be in an hour before.
What do you feel, just as a general, and it's a question that you can't quantify, I'm just asking. What do you feel is the most frequent asked type of question in the Discord? Is it stacks? Is this the right stack? Is it which cheap ass guy can I use? Is it something else? Is there like a theme that you notice every day when you're answering those questions?
Yeah, sometimes it's like, how does this lineup look? How's this lineup look? It's tough to look at an entire lineup and kind of justify it. But I mean, if you're reading the article and you're taking the 9 guys that are in my article, it's probably a good lineup. But the questions that are most asked, it's like, 2 guys versus 2 guys. Which 2 guys do you like? A high price guy with a value guy versus this guy and this guy.
Right.
So it's always trying to say, it's either lineup A or lineup B or the 2 guys A, 2 guys B. It's usually the questions. I think the guys at Discord do a really good job of kind of having a core and building, and then trying to having a little bit of struggles finding those last 2 guys to fit in a lineup. So that's what we're there for. That's why we always answer those questions right before lock.
Final question for you. You're wearing a Marlins hat. I don't think I've seen you in the Marlins hat. I've seen you in various hats here. Are you a hat guy? Do you have like a huge collection? Some people are shoe guys. Are you a hat guy?
Yeah, I actually just bought 9 hats from New Era yesterday. So some of the, the pin hats. I buy a lot of hats that have like the look. Can you see this way?
Yep.
This way.
Yeah.
So they have like the patches and things like that. Yeah, I'm a hat guy. I have probably 29 different teams. So
okay.
Yeah.
Fitted? Do you do the snapback?
I'm a snapback guy.
Okay. Yeah. The fitted ones, it's like 7 3/8, but then it depends how much my hair is. It's like, just give me this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Chris, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining us 3 days in a row.
Sure.
I know the folks really appreciate your shared analysis here. The article will be up soon. You'll be in the Discord later answering all those questions. And thanks so much for your time and appreciate it and have a great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope to see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Chris Rose of fantasyguru.com helping us out today, as he has been, as I noted there, for 3 days in a row. Way to go, Chris. Let's take some look here at the news and notes, see quickly if anything has popped. Justin Steele is going to throw a bullpen session on Saturday because of the hamstring issue. They were hoping he would just use 1 outing in the minors, right, and then come back for his next outing. The fact that he's throwing a bullpen this weekend, maybe there's a little uncertainty there, so we'll continue to monitor that with him, but not in panic time. But it's another step that might lead us to think maybe it's 1 more outing in the minors, but just something to think about. We'll look at the news here on the weekend, of course. Let's take a look at the comments here. Look at this. Brandon's just saying, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Same to you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Hello, Doug. Hello, Chaka and Greg and Chris. All you, thanks for jumping in and saying hello and thanks and all that kind of stuff. Chris D asks, better ad for flex depth, Tyler Nevin or Luis Rengifo, both qualify for multiple positions. Luis Rengifo for me going away. Rengifo runs. He's got the 4 positions. I wrote a player profile on him over at fantasyguru.com before the season began, extolling his virtues, if you will. I think there's a legitimate chance he finally starts to hit up near the top of the order now. Again, they've used him all over the place, so I'm not certain with that. Tyler Nevin has been great. He's been great. He's on a terrible team, and he's just not very good. I don't mean to bash the guy. He's a reserve player that's playing every day because he's on the A's. So I'd go Rengifo, again, 4 positions in the running, if nothing else, is attractive to me. Angelo said, I added Rengifo this morning. Multiple positions is great, plus the Angels have the Pirates and KC next week. Well, there you go, Angelo. So Angelo's telling Chris that Angelo went with Rengifo, and I agree. I concur. I go as well. Typical Rob says, good morning, King. Am I the king? There's a king in fantasy. It's Scott Engel. Is this in reference to Justin Fensterman calling me a lookalike for Scott Engel? Do you just want to call me the king, which I will accept the title because I am the 3rd, so I am royalty? Or is this just, hey, Ray, you're the king? Whatever. Whatever it is, I'll accept it. Henry says, morning, Ray, from the skies to Shanghai. Hope to be able to listen while I'm there for work. Ooh, around the world, Henry. Yes, I love that. The show is on YouTube. It's on the website. You can put it into your pod. That's the perfect way to get your podcast going. Type that Fantasy Sports Daily in there on your iTunes account or your Pandora or Spotify or whatever, and take us with you. Let us know how it goes. Shanghai, look at that. That's pretty good. I almost feel like I wish you had a Oracle t-shirt that you could then take a picture of. Like anyone ever watch Svengoolie? Anyone Svengoolie? It's on MeTV. It's the host of the horror movies, and people go all over the world. They're in Gaza, they're in Paris, and they're standing in front of pyramids and the Eiffel Tower wearing their Svengoolie t-shirt. I don't think that we've got that kind of following here, but that would be pretty cool if someone could do that. Angela said, yep. Oh, so you watched the Svengoolie. Nice. I like that. Always love the old horror flicks. They're like the old black and whites. There's just something about it. The camera's static. They're cheesy. It's just, I've always been a fan of that. Typical Rob says, you led me to a title last year, so you are my king. Well, there you go. I'll accept that, Typical Rob. Thank you so much. I'm glad you won last year. Let's hope you win this year, too. That's the goal. Don't forget, over at fantasyguru.com, right now you can get the all-in package. Use that promo code 50special to get the VIP Platinum membership. Get you every single thing we do, anything we will do, everything we do, whether it's up there now or it's up there in a month. Everything we do, 50 special with the Platinum membership, 50% off. It's a huge deal. Get the baseball wagering or the DFS package. Get the other sports besides football tossed in for free here. That's a great bargain too. Go to the website, click on the Join Now tab, which is now subscribe. Did you notice that we changed it? Now it says subscribe. Go to the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. You can find all the links to everything that we offer. There's also something for those of you that are involved with Discord. It's been posted multiple times by myself as well as others on staff. We're running a, what's the word? Not a poll. We're running a survey right now asking you what your thoughts are, what we can do better, what you like. So please fill that out if you get an opportunity. We're here to serve you, obviously, to provide you what you need for fun, for success, and all that. So we're doing a little survey. How's it going? I think there'll be another one next week or something like that. So if you get a chance, it takes you 2 minutes. Fill it out, and that'll help us hopefully provide you with a product that you can utilize and enjoy moving forward. So that's it today, folks. Thanks for listening. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Follow me on the interwebs at the Ray Flowers. Follow us, obviously, at FantasyGuru.com. This show's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fantasy Sports Daily. Elite Sports Game Time is 8 to 10 Monday through Thursday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. And Jeff Mann's Elite Sports Show is 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. I haven't been doing a lot of football talk here. We've had the football guests on, and we've talked a little bit about things with the the draft and everything like that. But Jeff has been hammering it on the show. He's also done podcasts. The crew's involved. Tyler Beaker, we had on yesterday, released his rankings. So if you missed that, go get him over at FantasyGuru.com. We'll continue to involve football a little bit more as we move forward here. I kind of like to keep this a safe zone, kind of baseball heavy centric, right? Because there's so much football everywhere already. So, you know how it goes. Even when we have a guest on, we're talking 2/3 baseball. So hopefully you've enjoyed the way things have been. We'll continue to try to improve things moving forward. I got to go write a cash game breakdown. Thanks for listening today. I really appreciate it. I'm Ray Flowers, and this has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Have a great weekend.